As many of you will have seen a few weeks back on the channel, I of course covered an apparent leak of some vehicles in GT7, which of course turned out to be created by some rando on Twitter, and I got had. It was a good laugh, and of course I don't look back on that with any ill will toward the person. It was a fair game joke. However, the natural question that arises here, of course, and with any supposed leak of any kind, is always what kind of proof do you have? So let's get to that first, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff. So what is the proof? Well, actually, the proof is kind of subtle when you first look at it, but I think it means something quite substantial in the case of the rest of this leak. Now, I want to thank Tom from the Discord server for this channel, which, incidentally, if you're not a part of, you should join. Of course, the link to that is below in the description. But he let me know about this data mining leak of some vehicles in the coding of the game. And he apparently heard this from someone called GameHecht, who originally heard it from someone called Pakey, or Pikey, P-A-I-K-Y, who was apparently a data miner who found this code. The reason why this is interesting, and the reason why I actually do give this leak credence, is because of this particular part of it. Now, when you look at this, it doesn't look special. The reason why it doesn't look special is because we already have these cars in the game now. We have the Subaru BRZs, we have the Rampage Camaro, the Suzuki Vision GT, and of course we have the Toyota Hybrid. So why is this even news? Well, here's the interesting thing. Tom told me, and you can even confirm this on the Discord server by looking at the date of the messages, this was before the update came out. So nobody even knew there was a Suzuki Vision GT, let alone that it was coming to the game with those other cars. So who would know that? Nobody guessed Suzuki Vision GT. If you look at my predictions video, I was way wrong. Everyone was way wrong because nobody knew the Suzuki was coming. This factually, provably predates that car coming to the game. That, to me, is a pretty massive indicator that this could well be legit, especially lumping it in with those other cars as well. So with that out of the way, you can then choose whether or not you want to believe the rest. To me, that's a pretty good piece of evidence, but let's move on. Now, the next thing here, and we're going to run through these in order, is a massive bit of news if it is true, because it's this one, the Suzuki Escudo. Now, for any who've played the prior Gran Turismo games aside from GT Sport, this is a massive return. Of course, it's one of the most iconic cars of the whole series, up there with easily the Renault Espace F1 and various other crazy vehicles in terms of being just a bonkers car to have in the game. I was always more of a Suzuki cultist kind of guy, but the Escudo is an absolute monster. That, of course, is going to be hugely loved by many people if it does arrive in the game, and it seems like if this is true, Suzuki is kind of having a bit of uptick in new additions to Gran Turismo. Right below that, though, just cut off at the bottom of the screen, you can actually see another vehicle. In the legendary dealer, as is indicated on that message, the Renault 5 Turbo Rally Car. That is hugely appropriate because of two things. We have the road-going Renault in the game, and we have its natural rival, the Peugeot 205 rally car. So it would not surprise me at all if that Renault 5 came back. And of course, if the Suzuki Escudo and this car were to return, they would be, for the first time in Gran Turismo's history, full premiums. They were not HD vehicles in the past. They had like the old school Gran Turismo 4 graphics, or close enough. Now this is where we part a little bit, because now we get into the real juicy stuff, with 4 vehicles that have never been featured in Gran Turismo before, and one other returning face, which actually hits quite close to home to a recent real-world purchase of mine. So here's the list. And just look at that list, because that's a pretty damn cool one. Number 1, straight off the bat, Porsche 918 Spider. If, once again, this turns out to be true, I would be hugely happy to see this in the game. Now, of course, it's not a track day version of the 918, since we have the FXXK and, of course, the McLaren P1 GTR. That would have been a cool trio, but even just against the LaFerrari and various other supercars and hypercars, I believe the Porsche, if it does arrive, would be a force to be reckoned with in Gran Turismo 7. I love the 918. It's really grown on me a lot over the years. Next up, though, we have a muscle car addition to the game, and these have been sorely lacking in Gran Turismo's overall car list in the past couple of games. And again, it's another brand new one. We've had Pontiac GTOs in Gran Turismo before, one of my personal favourites. In fact, one of my favourite muscle cars in the game, period, used to be the, I think it was 1964 Pontiac Tempest. Le Mans, which is a great looking car. This one, of course, probably the most iconic of all, the GTO Judge from 1969. That would be pretty badass if that comes back to the game. Moving swiftly on though, this next one is the one that has a connection, kind of, to my real-world car, or at least my newer car of the two, the Mitsubishi Evo. Except mine's a 7, and this is a 9. Looks kind of similar to the 7, though. The Evo 9 is technically kind of a combination of a returning face and a new car, because if this is confirmed, if this ever does come to the game, it's not the exact same year of Evo that was in the game before, so technically that is different, but it's pretty close. And interestingly, that'll be a strange choice because the one that they already had in the game was an existing premium. It even had body modifications back in Gran Turismo 6, so that'll be a cool one. As far as a Mitsubishi Evo goes, you already know it's going to be fast. Mine certainly is, and the Evos in the game are as well. The next one, though, just like the Porsche, for me even more so than the Porsche to be honest, is one which I really hope turns out to be true. And it's a car which has grown on me a lot in recent times. The Bugatti Chiron. What a machine. Of course, the Veyron is the OG, and I do prefer the Veyron overall. I know many people don't care about the Veyron at all, but especially in real life, it is one of my dream cars. The Chiron, as I said, has grown on me. If nothing else, it's going to be monstrously quick in a straight line, but possibly decent around corners as well. I actually bought the Veyron in GT7, and you tune it up and you can dominate career mode events in it pretty easily, even against prototype class cars. It's just so overwhelmingly fast. And interestingly, the final one is actually another vehicle which I have real world experience with. I haven't owned one, but I did a real car review for this in Beards and Cars. Pathetic views, because people apparently aren't really interested in the car that much, but the BMW M2 competition. There'll be an annotation at the top of the screen where you can watch that review if you want to see the real car in action, but this could be an interesting one. Not too many BMWs added in recent times to Gran Turismo, at least not road cars, and the M2 is much more compact. Again, I've driven M3s, M4s, M2s in real life, and I can confirm it's much more compact, much more nimble through corners. It's got a lovely barky little engine, and it's a lot of fun. It's a very playful vehicle, and in the competition form, obviously even more focused and even quicker, which incidentally was the one that I drove as well, the competition spec. So ultimately, if this does turn out to be true, it's not necessarily one car pack, we're not saying that, but if this does turn out to be an accurate data mine, which in my opinion it certainly could be given the evidence at the start, this is a pretty cool selection of cars. Escudo, Renault 5, Porsche 918, GTO Judge, Evo 9, Bugatti Chiron, and BMW M2 competition. I think that's a pretty damn nice mix. Some JDM, some muscle, some hypercar, some sports car, and of course, some rally action. So of course we'll have to stick around and see if this does turn out to be true. Once again, thanks to the guys, especially Tom on this occasion, over on the Discord. And finally, of course, if you're not already on the Discord for the channel, you should be. We chat about rubbish all day long and occasionally talk about Gran Turismo. So click the link right below to join that. And of course, for more Gran Turismo videos, stick around on the channel. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.